Oasis Audio presents Savage Bred, The Royal Rose Chronicles, Book 3, by Victoria Mccombs. Read for you by Quay. Chapter 1. Emme. There was no snow on the mountainside, only ice, stone, and the unmistakable feeling that I was making a grave mistake. I ran my numb fingers along the frozen wall and counted my steps. 132. Turn. I shifted. Behind me came the scrape of boots as Ontario and Clarice mimicked my steps, all of us attached by a rope at the waist to keep us bound together. If one fell, the other two would save them. At least, that was the plan. None of us said it, but it was likely we'd all fall together. We each held a pickaxe to latch onto the stone walls for support if needed, but in this darkness we'd be swinging blind. I swallowed, moving slowly through the pitch-black cave carved inside a mountain. My counting reset to 0. 1, 2, 3. Down, down, down. It wasn't a cave that we were in, not exactly anyway. It started as a cave, then became a path. Sometimes wide and other times no larger than the width of my shoulders and without a wall on either side. I held my breath during those times, the chilly air thick with our fear. 21, 22, 23. The rock face was wet beneath my leather boots, coated in a thin layer of frost that would catch the sunlight if there were any light to be found. Every so often, chips of the path crumbled beneath our feet and tumbled down into the cavern, knocking endlessly before finding the bottom, which was terrifyingly far away. I kept my hand on the single jagged wall on my left as I counted my steps. There were many twists and turns here, tunnels that would lead to nowhere, and others that led to nowhere good. But one path, a path we'd paid heavily to get directions to, would lead to a cavern where rare minerals grew. "Was this where a crew went missing?" Clarice asked. The jolt of someone else's voice almost wavered me. Her words bounced off the walls, sounding distant, though she couldn't be far if she was still attached to the rope. "Some burned to fire. Others drowned hundreds of feet above sea level," Ontario recited. "All still haunting these halls as ghosts today, luring others to their death to satisfy their hunger." He needn't have said that in such a low, mystical tone. At that moment, wind snatched at my hair and I jumped. 362 steps this way, I said to put myself back on track. "Keep your feet steady." "And your blade sharp," Clarice added. "I smell a fight coming." I hoped not, but if it did, that's what Clarice was here for. She was our muscle. Ontario was the brains, and me? I was the bait. First, we needed to reach those gems. 47, 48, 49... We continued in silence, holding our tongues and tightening our chests, our nerves set on edge. It was strange, being in such a vast area and still struggling to find a deep breath. Without realizing it, I'd put my other hand on the hilt of my cutlass, and my teeth clenched together. I tried to relax, but the knots in my shoulders had no intention of leaving. No one spoke again until I reached 362 in my mind. "Turn," I said. I stilled for a moment to clear my mind, the counting reset. 402 more steps. Then we were to touch the wall and press where the rocks smoothed into a knob. I tried not to think of what would happen if we didn't find that knob, instead trusting that our information was sound. We'd survived so far. 1, 2, 3. 300 steps in, and a distant explosion shook the ground. I crouched to my knees quickly, hand on the path to keep from falling. Behind me, Clarice cursed. The entire mountain trembled with vibrations that worked their way to our bones. A crack sounded, and my heart dropped. Pebbles rained around us, clattering down the slope of the walls and into the dark abyss. "What in the name of the dark seas was that?" Ontario asked. "We have company," I whispered. Then I sucked in my breath. It was as if the explosion had let loose something terrible in the heart of the mountain, something that should have remained asleep. But now it had awoken, a consciousness that slipped into my mind. It pulled at me, begging me to listen, and I wanted to. Everything inside me wanted to listen to that voice, to obey it, to please it. It asked me to move, and my feet inched away from the wall and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?